today is the second day of our tutorials in Massive within my class on how to make a dubstep song. So today we'll be going through the whole oscillator section of Massive, like everything in the oscillator section, so you can begin to kind of start making sounds. So let's open up Massive. Obviously, again, we're going to do the same thing as yesterday. I'm using caps lock keys again. So here's our default sound. Yeah. Okay. So as we went through yesterday, these three are oscillators here. So let's just start with oscillator 1 and see kind of what we want to do with this. Now, in Massive, there's not just this saw wave. There's tons of different types of waves in Massive. What you do is you click on this box right here, and it pulls up this whole menu, and you can select a ton of different things. There's like an acid sound, there's a talking sound, so there's tons of different sounds in Massive. But I just wanted to go through a little bit of like how Massive works. So there's all these different oscillators, right? And what it's doing is each one of these wave types is like, if you took a sound like a sine wave. Here, let me try to restate this. Basically, there's a big sample, right? And maybe it's having like a sine wave. What Massive does is takes a little section of that whole thing, and this control right here is where that little section is. So it can be at the beginning of the sample or going towards the end of the sample. So, like here, we can switch between a sine wave, which would be at the very left, to a square wave, which would be at the very right. Like that. So let's just find an oscillator that we like. Wow, that's pretty deep. Here, I'm an octave down. Here we go. This is middle C. Oh, that's sounding a little cool. So now let's pull it down. This is one octave down. Let's go 2, just because we're going to probably be making bass sounds. Oh, I heard a little. That's pretty crazy. So, let's just start with this. And what we're going to do is pull up another oscillator here. I'm just going to shut the first one off so we can focus a little bit more. Let's use this, which sounds a little cool. It's a very common dubstep sound. Let's probably go 12. Now with both of them. Cool. I don't care about my Apple keyboard batteries. So now let's turn on oscillator 3. Let's shut off 1 and 2. Let's turn this up. We'll get to that in a sec, these knobs. Let's use this. This is one of my favorite oscillators. Let's pull it down by 24. Like that. So, now let's go into these knobs, which I just said we were going to get into. Let's just start with oscillator 1. So what this is I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it's a lot like a low pass. Low pass filter, that is. But since this isn't sounding, it's not adding that much like heaviness to the sound. So under this menu here, there's 5 different types of things. This is the one that we were just on: bend plus, bend minus, slash plus, bend minus, informant. So let's go with bend plus. And you can hear it's sounding pretty crazy. Like that. We can do bend minus, which is basically the same thing. It's a little bit different in modulation. I'm not exactly sure what bend does, but I definitely use it in like all of my synths. I always use this bend setting. And then this bend minus plus, what it is this is the middle, so this is no modulation. And if I turn it up, it's going to bend plus, and down going to bend minus. You can kind of hear. And then we have this formant, which is the last one, which is, in a way, it just kind of like changes the pitch. Sounds pretty cool. So I think I'm going to stick with the bend plus minus and find a setting that I like. About right there. Yeah. So now let's go to our second oscillator. Put it on formant. So here's our third. And I know this definitely sounds crazy with bend plus minus. Okay, now let's modulate this stuff a little. Let's just use an envelope since I haven't gotten to the LFOs yet, but LFOs are what most dubstep artists use for modulation. But let's just... Here, let's just solo this one. Maybe we could also modulate this. Let's do this one. Okay. Now let's go to this here. What can we modulate? That's actually sounding pretty heavy. I might use that in one of my songs. Anyways, let's go through this modulation oscillator. Let me find a good oscillator that'll work well with this. Let's use this one again. So let's just solo this, take out this modulation. Let's turn this on. Let's put it to -24 just for starters. And then let's experiment with this ring mod. Now, ring mod is ring modulation, which is amp modulation, which basically means that it's going from no volume to full volume in like a wave going in a sine wave going up and down at this frequency, -24. So let's put this on. So this is without any ring mod. This does not have that much of an effect. This probably isn't a very good oscillator to show what ring mod is, but if you play around with it, it can make some pretty cool sounds. Next, let's go to the phase modulation. I'm not exactly sure what phase modulation is. It just seems like extremely heavy distortion. So let's slowly turn this up. So that gives you an idea of what phase modulation is. And then next we have position, which what this is doing is it's modulating this knob, the wavetable position, super fast, which at this frequency, which is, if we can just hear what it does. So this is nothing. Okay, now, this is the last thing here. It's for this filter, or whatever filter you assign it to, filter 1 or 2. We're going to get more into filters tomorrow, filters and effects, but just to show you what this does, since this is still in the oscillator section. Filter modulation is modulating the filter cutoff from here to, like, up to here if this is at full. So if this is at 0, so this is now, the filter modulation isn't doing anything, and now when it's about here, it's modulating it up to there and back, about up to here at this frequency. So let's put this at -36 so you can hear. This is, I use this a lot in a lot of my sounds. Super heavy. So next, that's pretty much it for this modulation oscillator. So next, let's go to this noise oscillator. This feedback is kind of irrelevant. We'll get to that later. We'll get to that tomorrow, actually. What we're gonna do is turn this amp up so we can hear. Why is there no sound? Oh, let's turn this filter off. Hold on. So this is white noise. I forgot to warn you to turn your speakers down because it's kind of. So what this is doing is generating white noise, which is basically like, it's not a waveform. It just like randomly pushes your speaker in and out, like just super fast, super like random. So this is. So this is the speed of like the random of where it's jumping the speaker to. So this is super slow. That's super fast. You can kind of hear. So this is just white noise. Next, let's get to bright noise. It's kind of the same thing. Brown noise is also very similar. It's not as high-endy. I'm not exactly sure what the difference between all the different noises are, but I don't use this very much. I just wanted to go through it. Tape hiss, it's kind of like white noise. This metallic is kind of a freaky sound. I've used that in a few of my sounds. Amp noise. It sounds like paper crunching, which is why it's called paper. And then this is AC power. That's actually pretty heavy right there. I need to use that. Water pipes. I have no clue what they sampled this from. Sounds a lot like the metallic stuff. This is high metallic, which is just this like metallic here, this higher pitch. Then there's murmur, which obviously sounds like talking. So sounding very talk-ish. Then there's this last one, which I guess now, I didn't really know what it was, but I guess it sounds kind of like aluminum foil crunching. So, like the other thing, this can be routed to filter 1 or filter 2. Pretty simple. And that's pretty much everything in the oscillator section of Massive. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or post them in the comments. And yeah. Oh, I forgot to go through one thing. This is the amp, which is the volume. I might have gone through that yesterday, I forget. But this is the volume of the oscillator, which is very simple, just how loud the oscillator is. So yeah. If you like these videos, please subscribe. And like I said, any questions, comment on this video, or you can message me on YouTube. So yeah, enjoy. Thanks for watching.